I particularly liked the pushing wheat farming into the summer months through the off-season using irrigation, because Ethiopia is the largest wheat producer of wheat in the continent of Africa. All of the African countries combined together, the total acreage of wheat in Ethiopia is much larger than all the African countries combined. I believe most everyone in Ethiopia had heard about my story. And just to recap that, I am a child of West Central Ethiopia and grew up there in a poor family. And thanks to the opportunities I received education with, as a result of my mother's effort to encourage me to go to school. And as you may have heard my story before, I walked 20 kilometers to school from Wolankomi to Addis Alem or Ejersa. So that was the beginning for me, and I did that for 3-4 years, and before taking my national exam in 8th grade. I took the exam, and then in those days, there were 4 boarding schools in Ethiopia. So if at the end of the 8th grade, you take a final exam, and if you do get a good score, you get to choose your first choice. And I chose agriculture. And there were 2 agricultural high schools at that time. One, Jimma Agricultural School, and then Ambo Agricultural High School. So I chose to go to Jimma, which was a school run by Americans from Oklahoma State University as part of the Point 4 program, brought about to provide technical support to poor developing nations. And so that, I went to the high school in Jimma, attended it for 4 years. The best opportunity that I got, that was my license out of poverty, because if I hadn't gone there, I would not have known what I would do, because the next high school close to my hometown was about 100 kilometers from there. So I would not be able to walk there. So I attended Jimma. I had wonderful opportunity there, and that was where my early childhood was really affected by opportunities for education, an incredible kind of taking care that the school had provided for us. So from there I went to college and graduate school. Anyway, that's my background. That in general is where I had my head start and became a professional later on. But I always give credit to that high school opportunity that I received at the age of 14. I got that opportunity to really take me out of poverty and provide me a boarding school by American government. That was my beginning. In those days, if you went to Jimma or Ambo High School, you didn't have to take the national school living certificate exam that the government runs. Alamaya, in those days, Alamaya College will send an exam to Jimma. Ambo is not qualified to Jimma, and if you get a good result, then on the basis of your high school ranking, an average of 3 points in a high school score, and then a good score in the entrance exam, it qualifies you to go to a college. So I was able to do that and started in Haramaya. And I came back with an experience of learning an American high school style in Jimma. So opportunities for us were moving from one American program to another American program, and the opportunities we had were incredibly good. It was another God-given opportunity. The program was good. We get practical experience. We had good, solid theoretical education. We had comfort in opportunities we had. We had sport program. I was growing tall at the time, started playing basketball in high school, played varsity in Jimma, and then came to Alamma. I also played 4 years of varsity basketball. We had a very successful sports program, and I also played volleyball, but those were the opportunities I had. So educational program, experience in science and technology, and then again athletically, it was a wonderful opportunity for a growing boy to have experience. Of course, that's easy to generally say that. Easy because the answer, of course, is science and technology. You need to have technologies, but we've had technologies. We had opportunities to generate technologies from within, technologies to be brought from other countries. We had those opportunities, but we have had challenges in delivering technology to farm communities reliably and sustainably, and then scaling it up so that more and more farmers would arise. Because projects, most of what we've done in the last 50, 60 years is on a project mode, even though earlier on, when we started agricultural research in this country also started in Jimma and Haramaya as a result of the USAID program. And those initials eventually led to the creation of EIR, and then Jimma Agricultural High School, Alamma College of Agriculture and the Mechanical Arts, and those combined with other programs in the ministry were really the beginning of research. But true research came by the creation of the Ethiopian Institute of Agricultural Research in the 1960s. And again, connecting the legacies of Jimma and Ambo, many of the people who began programming research were graduates of these two schools. And that again is adding to the foundation that Haramaya provided for professors to do research in a government program. And so national research started manned by people who were trained at Haramaya University. At that time, Alamaya College of Agriculture. So that's a legacy of Alamaya, contributing again to a national research agenda. And we have had research and technology introduction, but again, giving technology a chance, and maybe delivering the technology to farmers, introducing them and scaling them up so farmers could get it. Now that scaling up is started in this process they call Kutagattam show and tell program. But that's good. But again, what we need, in my opinion, is we need to create the private sector, a strong private sector that will take technologies out in the hands of government program and deliver them on a profit motive, working with farmers side by side, making it a very beneficial program, both for the private sector as well as for the community, farm communities and so on. So those are the things we need to work with. And again, one, technology delivery system, most likely so the private sector would be wonderful to do, and then giving those technologies a chance with the farmers, and then creating market opportunities for the farmers when they produce surplus, so that surplus finds a home and creates economic opportunity for the farmers. So I think I will say mostly technology and innovation is really the key, and once that is given a key, finding a way to get them to farmers and develop an arrangement in which the farmer gets those technologies and benefits from it. Delivering the technology to farmers alone is not it, but you need to catalyze the use of the end products that would be generated, connecting the dots from research to technology extension, from that to farmers producing it, farmers having a market opportunity to sell their product, and then those products being used in economic enterprises to benefit the private sector, benefit the farmers. I think it's beginning to take off. It's really, for a long time, African research has slackened. But the one thing that I give credit to the Ethiopian government. Ethiopian governments under the kingdom, under the communist regime, under the previous government, under the current program, has been good in providing support to research programs in the country. We have been exceptionally good compared to all other African countries. So that part is good. And that's why that I'm emphasizing this connection with the private sector, finding a non-governmental private technology delivery system that is based on a profit motive for farmer, profit motive for the private sector, is really the one that we need to be developed. Having said that, I really think agricultural research in Ethiopia was much better than it is now, but I think it's still, in some areas, is very good. Universities are really getting into it as well. And so I am very confident, given the support provided and the decision making that is necessary to create programs that are beneficial to the farmers, beneficial to private sector and so on, can be delivered successfully, sustainably, if government could realize making these connections and passing on some of the service program from the public program to the private sector is very important. Yes, I have seen and looked at and been told, and I've been presented to the example of the wheat program, the wheat flagship program, where large number of farmers in several areas have been given the opportunity to get input for seed and fertilizer and getting support into the mechanization and so on, and providing the opportunity to produce highly productive varieties on farmers' field. I particularly liked the pushing wheat farming into the summer months through the off-season using irrigation, because Ethiopia is the largest wheat producer of wheat in the continent of Africa. All of the African countries combined together, the total acreage of wheat in Ethiopia is much larger than all the African countries combined. So we can produce some varieties as necessary in a mix of agriculture practices in the rainy season, and then focusing on during the dry season under irrigation, where we can control the environment, producing high yield potential varieties during the off season, extends opportunities, flexibility to the farmer, and the yield is higher, and the opportunities for wheat is going to be, in my mind, you don't even need to grow during the regular season if your target is just producing wheat. We can satisfy all the needs in the country and even produce surplus only in the off season, in the dry season, but then you need to give the rest of the farmers' communities to grow other crops that are important to them, and without forcing it into them, as if according to some of the things that are. We've talked about climate change enough. I really think climate change is real, but the interesting thing about climate change is, in the long run, Eastern Africa is projected to get more rain and not less. And according to the climate projection and mapping. But still, this idea of growing crops during the dry season through irrigation, and then maybe potentially growing the main season under dry condition, supplemented with irrigation. That's the blessing that we have in this country. The number of rivers we have, the opportunities we have to mix and choose the kind of crops we grow, the time of the year that we grow it, that's incredibly fortunate for the country. And so I think it's manageable, but I think what I suspect is, instead of maybe moving from this project mode to a wholesale commitment of government support that we're having right now. And so I think if we get a little more focused and have major crops in our country, wheat, sorghum, corn, and then the legumes wherever they are, in a planned way to manage them, to really take advantage of the environment and which they grow, it can be done. It's really not that complex, but it requires commitment. And commitment, not only commitment, it requires discipline. And I would like to say the older generation were a lot more disciplined than the younger generation in terms of following through with the commitment we made in the country or so. But I think more of it is, can we keep the best talent in the country to really help the country and to providing them with opportunities to excel, to do something good for the country, to create some names for them, for their own. I really think we have no shortage of manpower. We've got many universities now, but if we could focus our training in many of these universities to provide skills and skill sets and experience for the young, and get into innovative technologies being created, particularly new technologies, particularly in the digital year now, the digital technology, taking advantage of that, creating some sensors, and using this to really advance agriculture practices, agricultural research in the field. We have a great opportunity, and I'm confident that given the opportunity, the young people we generate, if we provide them with the right kind of education and training, and we give them the opportunity to stay in the country and to get into private enterprises and not only go to public service, get into private enterprise, begin to hire themselves, and then maybe hire other people in their companies and so on, relieve the government from doing it all, because government has a lot of demands on it and the resources could be distributed better. So I'm very confident if given the chance, we can be better than many African countries and potentially bring agriculture in this country to a higher level to create opportunities and get to the dream of being a mid-income countries and so on. Yeah, no, I really am very confident that the discipline, if we raise the discipline, or maybe better say, restore the discipline that we had before, the work ethic that we had before, and the commitment, continuing the commitment the government has to support research in this country, I really think the sky is the limit for agriculture in Ethiopia. But perhaps with some reorganization and refocusing and getting a thorough understanding of what's going on and the opportunities that we have, because we've got talented people here, we have talented people out of the country, and so if we could really bring all of the powers that we have, all Ethiopians and friends of Ethiopia from outside, I believe that Ethiopia will not have food security problems. And we have done a lot to tremendous progress in the last 10 years in food security. And then with all the other security problems we have had, our people have not been hungry. That's saying a lot, because we have a huge country, a lot of population, and yet in the last 10, 15 countries, in 10, 15 years, we really haven't had a huge food security problem in Ethiopia, but we can raise the level to really become a good economy in agriculture and then create agriculture-led growth to really build the economy in this country. We have an opportunity, but I think the challenge that I see is a peace dividend. If we have peace, we have talented people, we have natural resources, we have tremendous opportunity to build agriculture in this country. I think the days we worry about food insecurity in Africa are gone. But insecurity, security in general, security issues, peace issues are really have been the bottleneck. And so I think finding solution for them, restoring peace and stability, I don't think we would have food security problem. It is a wonderful country for agriculture. It's a wonderful set of people with a lot of history in agriculture. So really elevating the science of agriculture and technology in this country is not going to be a problem in Ethiopia, for Ethiopia.